and welcome you everyone to the Wednesday afternoon webinar at Rodale Institute. My name is Dinesh Panday. I'm a soil scientist at Rodale Institute. And today, I'm going to talk about our results from the 2-year field trial that we did with CBD Hemp Trial in the Northeast Certified Regenerative Organic Fields. So, welcome you again. Let's get started. And during the presentation, I'm going to turn off my camera, but again, I'm sharing my screen with you all. And then also, if you have any question or comment, please write in the chat box. I'll try to respond them after I finish my presentation. So those who are joining late, so welcome you again. Today, I'm going to talk about the results from the CBD Hemp trial that we conducted in the Pocono Mountain in Pennsylvania. So while talking about the industrial hemp, or generally, sometimes people hear is marijuana also. So both marijuana and industrial hemp, or just in general hemp, those derived from the same species. It's called cannabis sativa. So the cannabis sativa, that again, it contains more than 100 cannabinoids. So it's a kind of like a chemicals that present in the cannabis sativa or in hemp general. And it, as I said, it contains more than 100 cannabinoids. Mostly, we talk about the two different types of cannabinoids. Those are THC and CBD. The full form of CBD stands for cannabidiol, and THC stands for tetrahydrocannabinol. What is the difference between the marijuana and industrial hemp? So industrial hemp contains less THC and high CBD. And if you go to the CBD hemp, definitely very high CBD. And marijuana, it contains high THC and low CBD. Now, I was checking that what is the difference between CBD and THC, and then looking at the molecular formula, it's the same. So it is the same molecular formula for CBD and THC, but the arrangement of the atoms, it's a kind of like structural changes that bring changes in the chemical properties, and that's why we call CBD with a low psychoactive and THC with a high psychoactive. Those kind of characteristics that present. And in US, after introduction of the 2014 Farm Bill, and it mentioned that the level of THC in industrial hemp must be less than 0.3%. So again, the level of THC must be less than 0.3% in industrial hemp. And if you check quickly with the history of the hemp started from Central Asia and Europe, and then it was introduced in early 1600 in North America, particularly Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania legalized registered individuals to go cultivate and market 16 July. So I was talking about the CBD and THC, how they are different with the structure, but this picture in the general is almost all part of industrial hemp are being used. It used to mention that there are more than 15,000 uses of the hemp we can generate or we are using it. If you look at the root zone, especially to remediation or soil revitalization, sometimes when the soils are containing heavy metals or like some soils are polluted with undesirable nutrient or undesirable element on it, it can be used as a properties of the phytoremedial value. Similar with the other parts, for example, steam, fiber, and coming back to the product is a grain or flour, they have other purpose also. And then also nowadays, hemp is exploring items, and then more and more useful are being explored. So I hope you have seen somewhere the hempcrete. And then also people are used to talk about the materials that is produced from the hemp are light compared to the steel. One of the example is Ford car testing in the past. It was around 1941 or 1944. the Ford company, the motor manufacturing company, they tested with a hemp material using on it, and it was found that it was lighter than the regular car that we have. So in the same way that today we are talking mostly about the floral part, which is a flower. So the CBD is related with mostly related or more valuable from the sense of the flower. But I know CBD presents in all parts of the plant, but again, the higher concentration of CBD is present in the floral part. But again, you may know that there was a restriction, and then recently in 2014 and 2018, after that, now the research institution, university, or even the individual farmer or the group of the farmers, they started to producing hemp, research on hemp, and then also the private company, they are doing research. So that kind of not more than 2 decades of history in the US recently. And that we can say that hemp industry is still growing, and then there are really limited or scarce information. Even sometimes we get a problem with the basic production and market data because market is very volatile, and then yet there is no crop insurance in the hemp. Similarly, there is no herbicide that we can use in the hemp crop particularly. And more about the basic production, for example, planting spacing, what is the planting spacing that can be optimal? What is the fertilizer requirement, and what kind of different fertilizer, and what is the formulation type, and then a weed management, how we can address the weed management, and then other things, for example, harvest, what are the technology or the tools that we can use for harvest. Similarly, it goes with the processing method also. So we are at the basic production and we are at the basic production level. So many things need to explore. And there are not location specific research yet. There are some research, but that cannot cover entire part of the US or other region also. So, and then we need more research-based nutrient management trial also because we are thinking to grow the hemp as a sustainable crop production. So in a broader sense, we can say that there is a lack of research on agronomic-based management practices. The two challenges that I would like to talk today, weed management, as a Rodale Institute, we are Regenerative Agricultural Focus Research Institute. So we cannot use inorganic or chemical herbicide. So weed management is a really challenge in the hemp production. And then another thing is, as I said, that our research is still at the basic level. We are dealing with soil fertility management issues, especially the nitrogen. We know that we can improve the nitrogen use efficiency with the different practices. But again, there is no straightforward way or the results that has been showing that this is what we need to do. So we can improve the nitrogen use efficiency that can be helpful for reducing the nitrogen losses. So, and some publication or some research that it is coming from the lab study or controlled environmental test, and that may or may not represent a real soil environment. So I would like to introduce one of the example that or recommendation that Penn State University has provided. They develop a fertilizer recommendation for hemp seed production. What that it says that soil with optimum level of phosphorus and potassium, and when you are targeting the yield potential of 1,500 pounds, which is equivalent to the 680 kilogram, that will require 68 kilogram of nitrogen, 13.6 kilogram of and 9.1 kilogram of potassium. So yes, there are some fertilizer recommendation, especially with the fiber hemp or seed hemp. Also, in every state or where the hemp grower are there, it is not easily available or even it cannot be easily compared from the research to the farm or field level. So the fertilizer recommendation are still at the beginning level. So before I introduce our research that we conducted in the last 2 years, I would like to just mention about the CBD production, what farmers want. So farmers want to keep a female plant only because more CBD is the more yield for farmers in terms of the CBD hemp. That's why farmers want to keep female plants. Even a single male plant, it can ruin your production or business. So farmers want to keep only female plants. And then female plants sometimes even it says like a 99% only female flower or female flower. There is a chances that sometimes one male plant may appear or one male flower may appear and it can ruin. So in that case, how we know male plant and female flower, male flower and female flower at the growing season, it is very important. And one thing is definitely female plant or flower looks like a bushy in nature versus male plant story. So, and that is very important that you have to remove any single male flower from your pit. It may not be achieved what you are desiring. And then I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation that CBD level can present in the all part of the flower, all part of the plants. But again, CBD concentration are the highest in the floral material. That's why growers wants to give female plants with more flowers. And I saw that according to literature or also based on the production houses, that one plant can produce about 1 pound of dried floral material. So, and that is the dried floral material is your sellable item. So now let's jump into the research that we conducted at the Rodale Institute in Pocono Organic Center in 2022. So this image is from the Pocono Mountain. If you know this area in the Pennsylvania, it's a slightly cooler area. I will describe more about the ecology in another slide, but we are running side by side with management and nitrogen management trial. Let's start with the nitrogen management trial at the beginning. So our first experiment was about precision nitrogen management trial, where we tried to locate the impact of organic nitrogen fertilization rate and methods in CBD hemp production. That include the two different levels of factor in the treatment. So our first factor was nitrogen rates. That nitrogen rates at 5 different levels. First is control or N0, and then second one is 56, 112, 168, and 224 kilograms per hectare. Today I'm presenting everything into the SI unit, but correspond to the American or pound per acre units. That is 50 pound, 100 pound, 150 and 200 pound per acre. And then we are providing nitrogen fertilizer from the blood milk source. So blood milk contains 12% of nitrogen, no phosphorus and potassium are needed. The second factor we are talking about the application method. So what is the proper way of applying fertilizer? So blending and broadcasting, we're thinking about, or we are considering 2 different approaches. So again, we are keeping 5 different rates, including 0. And then 2 different application methods, banding versus broadcasting. And the trial was replicated 4 times. That means it was 4 times, it consists 4 times replication. The individual plot size was 3 meter by 4.5 meter, where we were arranging plants with 30 inches or 0.75 meter row to row spacing and 60 inches or 1.5 meter plant to plant spacing. And in that structure, it contained around 14,500 plants per hectare. What we did is, at the beginning, we raised those seedlings in the greenhouse when they are about 3 weeks older. Then we transplant it into the main field. So back to here is that our experimental soil was with a loamy soil, climber loam soil, which has a pH of 6.4, organic matter 3.7, and total carbon with 2.1%. As I said, that Pennsylvania Pocono Mountain Zone, the USDA hardiness zone defined it as a 5B. I know this USDA hardiness zone has been revised last year in November, but you can just imagine this is a comparatively cooler zone than the other places in Pennsylvania. And what are the observations we are looking is that CBD hemp plant height, total biomass, secondary metabolite, for example, CBD, THC, CBG, and number of bud weight, apical and auxiliary bud yield. How we laid in the ground is that, as I mentioned, after 3 weeks, we transplanted them. This plot was with cover crop at the beginning. So cover crop was roll crimped, and then we incorporated into the ground. That's how we prepared the seed bed for this transplantation. And once the plants were kept in the ground, then we provided drip tape for irrigation purpose. So blood meal was applied in the 2 different times. One is after the transplanting, and another is after 1 month from the first transplantation date. So here is a more picture that how the plots were, and then these are the drip tape for irrigation. And this one is the dry floor material. After crop harvest, we put in the air drying facilities, and then the dried samples were sent to the lab for analysis of the secondary metabolite that include CBD, THC, and other profiles. Some picture more here that how we dried in the air dried condition. And then this is the fresh CBD sample. So we took a representative sample for our parameter measurement, and then after we harvest everything. So this is a picture from the harvest, and on the left side, sorry, right side picture is during the drying condition. Let's talk about the results. As I said, this was a 2-year trial, but during the data analysis, we also saw effect after a year. That's how we consider 3 main factors here. So one is nitrogen rate at 5 different levels, application method, banding and broadcasting, and then another is a year, 2022 and 2023. So our parameters that we were interested were plant height, bud weight, biomass yield, CBD yield, CBD, THC, and CBD concentration. Similarly, the plant nitrogen and flower nitrogen. So plant nitrogen and flower nitrogen, we collected 2 samples only in 2023. That's why we don't have data from 2022. But the rest of the observation, we had the data from 2022 and 2023. So if you look at individual parameters, for example, plant height, we can see that the plant height was increased with a high rate of nitrogen application. If you look at the application method, plant height was higher in the banding first compared to the broadcasting. And then year-wise also, plant height was more visible, or plant height was high in 2022. So one thing, the change was here is we could not maintain the same variety in 2022 and 2023. I know there are some restrictions, and then also some difficulties to get the good quality of seed, and then also the seed all the time. So that's how we change varieties. But again, we contacted the suppliers, and they try to maintain the very near or like a no difference variety. So the variety by name, 2 different varieties, but again, they are much similar to each other. And then bud weight also, you can see that increasing the nitrogen rate, bud weight also increase. And then one thing here is CBD yield. CBD yield was calculated based on the CBD concentration and then weight of the apical bud plus axillary bud in general. So this concentration CBD, THC, and CBG and plant nitrogen and float nitrogen, these reports are given from the lab, and other data we generated during the harvest or during the growing time season. I will discuss about this detail in the coming slide. So let's go to the another slide. And before that, one thing is I did not mention here, but we observed that ratio from the THC to the CBD, it ranges from 1 divided by 20, sorry, 1 by 43 to the 1 by 20. That means we observe the low THC and high CBD in our results. As I mentioned that we had some interaction of nitrogen rate and application method. Similarly, the application method and year. And if you see in the biomass yield, which was also affected by nitrogen and then application method. So in some parameter, we show only main factor effect. In some other parameters, we show the interaction. Those interactions, which are represented in the graphical form in the coming slide. For example, dry bud weight versus nitrogen rate, and then method and year. So dry bud weight in the y-axis, and then on the x-axis, you can see the different level of nitrogens ranging from 0 to 24 kilogram per hectare. So let's take a look at the dry weight in the picture here. So we can see this green color, which represents the method of the fertilizer by banding, and then the red color or orange color is broadcasting method. So if you look at this graph here, somehow you can see that banding, not here, but in most of the cases, banding has a higher dry bud weight compared to the broadcasting in most of the nitrogen rate we apply. If you see the another figure here in a C, you can see that banding has a clear higher dry bud weight compared to the dry bud weight in banding in 2022 compared to the 2023. So overall, we were seeing the good results with the banding method of fertilizer application. And also the dry bud weight was increasing with increasing rates of nitrogen application. Other parameters, biomass yield, CBD hemp yield, and then the concentration of CBD and THC. Also that most of the parameters that it was kind of straightforward. Let's see how the biomass yield, CBD and THC concentration are related to each other based on our results. And these results are presented year-wise. So on our top figure, you can see y-axis with a biomass yield ranging from 0 to 200 kilogram per hectare. And on x-axis, you can see the different rates of nitrogen supply. This gray one is for the CBD concentration, CBD level. And then this red one is for the THC level. So the right side you want, when you move to the right side from left to right, you are increasing the nitrogen rate. And that is contributing for the high biomass yield. If you see this green circle here, that you can see that though there is a variation, but again, you can see the positive trend of biomass yield as we progress from the lower rate of nitrogen to the higher rate. So meaning that we are seeing the positive linear regression. So, and we can conclude that by increasing the nitrogen rate, you are achieving the higher biomass yield. Also, you are getting the higher CBD and THC concentration also. But one thing is, as I showed in the second slide, that we must be careful with the THC level. And then in CBD hemp production is that you have to meet the state and then federal regulation, and then you have to take your sample before you harvest the main crop. So it is recommended that you need to take samples at least 30 days prior your sample. 30 days prior your main harvest. So what that means is you need to take a sample test, and then in your sample, it must be that your THC level is less than 0.3. So the one results we are seeing here is during the harvest, we were okay with the state-wise compliance that where THC must be 0.3. But somehow you can see that THC level, which is very close to 0.3, it was just during the harvest, not during the state test compliance. So again, we went check back to the individual samples, and then the THC high was observed where we had a high rate of nitrogen application. So meaning that you need to be careful that most of the results suggest that increasing the nitrogen rate that can contribute for bringing changes in the cannabinoid profile. And then it is mostly with a positive relationship. That means higher the nitrogen rates, it may contribute for high THC and CBD concentration. But sometimes plant under stress, let's say like the environmental stress, and then stress induced biosynthesis that can be happening during the field condition, especially from the environmental factors, sometimes light, sometimes rain or temperature and other parameter also. There are some literature that most of the things that biomass yield is not related to the environmental factors. The reason is it is more derived from the genetic factor, but your management also contribute for the developing the cannabinoid profile. So in that sense, you need to be careful that what kind of management you are following in your field, and that may contribute for the different level of CBD and THC. And then obviously we are looking also at the same thing in our research. But that thing is not a problem in 2023. If you look at the bottom figure here, we are also seeing the similar trend of the increasing the nitrogen rate, increasing the biomass yield, and somehow it is not very clear, but we can see that since due to this positive trend, that means there is an increase in the CBD level also. Again, the THC level, regardless of the nitrogen rates, it was lower than in the 2022. So let me conclude from this slide is that we were seeing the positive relationship between among the biomass yield, CBD and THC concentration with increasing the nitrogen rates. And another thing we were looking at this research is agronomic efficiency of nitrogen. The agronomic efficiency of nitrogen stands for amount of additional crop yield or biomass produced per unit of nitrogen applied. What that means is you compare your produce with the control yield. So that's how we don't have a control yield here, but we were taking care of that control yield value first. So you can see only 4 different rates of nitrogen where the fertilizer was applied. And looking at the agronomic efficiency of nitrogen, we found a significant effect in 2022. 2023, it was not significant, but again, increasing the nitrogen rate, we saw the high agronomic efficiency of nitrogen. So higher the value of agronomic nitrogen efficiency, it is more desired, or you are making a best management of your resources. So somehow, if you look at these 2 high rates, 168 and 228, they are not significantly different. If you come to the method of application, in both here, there is no significant, and those values are more or less very similar. what we can generate from this observation. One thing is looking at the agronomic efficiency of nitrogen. Another thing is looking at the TSC, increased TSC level with increasing nitrogen rate of application. We can conclude our results that blood meal supplied at 224 kilogram nitrogen per hectare. This value corresponds to the 200 pound per acre of nitrogen. So blood meal supplied at 224 kilogram nitrogen per hectare produced the highest biomass yield, also produced more CBD and TSC when we compare to the 56 or the lowest rate of nitrogen we applied. Plant tissue and floral nitrogen level increase with the increasing nitrogen rates. And from our research, we say that optimal nitrogen fertilizer rate recommended for our region is 168 kilogram nitrogen per hectare, and maximum is up to the 224 kilogram nitrogen per hectare. Again, from our observation, there is no need to apply nitrogen more than 168 kilogram per hectare. But again, just one soil type and then a limited varietal trial and then limited study, we cannot make a wider recommendation level. So that's why we are ranging the fertilizer recommendation rate from 168 to 224 gram nitrogen per hectare. And in terms of the fertilizer application method, panning method of fertilization was more effective than the broadcasting. So this is the results that we are seeing. And then I will talk about another experiment we conducted, and then we'll talk about some common things that what is the research detection in the coming slides. Now let's jump into the second experiment, that is with weed management. In this trial, we try to look at the application of roller crimper for termination of the cover crop. So how roller crimper can be effective for termination of the cover crop, and then how it can help in weed suppression or weed management in the CBD hemp production. Just giving a little bit about the roller crimper. So roller crimper is a tool or device that can attach to the tractor. If we look at in the picture, this red part is a roller crimper. And the total trial was developed by the Rodale Institute. So this roller crimper is this drum. This rolls the cover crop and then crimps at the surface. What that means is when it rolls and crimps at the surface, the crimp stem can no longer uptake moisture and nutrient. And this will make a condition that cover crop to die in a place and form a natural barrier over the soil. And since cover crop has many benefits from the soil health point, from the weed suppression, so we're also looking at how and what will be the good way of cover crop termination. Can we include roller crimper for termination? And then how that can be helpful for the weed suppression? That was our research question. So back to the treatment. So we were considering three factors in this weed management trial. The first factor is cover crop termination method, incorporation or disking. And then next one is roller crimping. So in a roller crimping, we don't use tillage. So the factor two is row spacing. As I mentioned in the few previous slide, that we yet are struggling with optimum row spacing, optimum fertilizer recommendation rate, and then also other weed management practices. So the factor two, we are considering that what is the optimum rate of row spacing or optimum level of row spacing. And in this regard, we are considering two different row spacing. One is 0.75 and second one is 1.5. So 0.75 corresponds to the 30 inches, and then 1.5 meter corresponds to the 60 inches. And factor three is plant spacing. Again, two plant spacing rates were used. First one is 0.61 meter that correspond to the 24 inches and 0.75 meter that correspond to the 30 inches. So this was also replicated 4 times. So our soil was loam soil with a pH 6.8, which is slightly acidic to the neutral. And then organic matter at 4% and total carbon is 2.4%. And observed parameters we are taking or including in the experiment with pressure, CBD hemp plant height, total biomass, secondary metabolites including CBD, THC, yield, number of bars, and apical and auxiliary bar yield. This is a picture of the experiment that I forgot to mention in the previous slide, but this red color line here, it represents plant-to-plant spacing. For example, this is the plant-to-plant spacing. The yellow color line is, this is the row-to-row spacing. Most of the management practices, for example, the 3 weeks old seedlings were transplanted into the main plot, and then we use drip irrigation, and then we use 1 rate of blood meal at the beginning of the experiment. And other management practices we kept very similar to the first national trial experiment. And now, in these results, since we did not see year effect on the weed management trial, that's the reason that we are presenting individually here as a separate results. Let's talk about the treatment here that we have a source of variation with a cover crop termination method, incorporation and roller crimping. And then second one is row-to-row spacing. Third is plant-to-plant spacing and their interaction. Most of the results that are coming better with incorporation or disking method, but since we are interested in roller crimping, how it can be effective, one thing that we were particularly interested wheat pressure. So let me tell you this event 1 and event 2. So we collected wheat sample in 2 different times during the growing season. One was after 30 days from the transplantation, as we call event 1. And then the second was 30 days before harvest, we call event 2. So this is event 1 after 30 days from the transplantation, and then event 2 is 30 days before harvest. What we saw that roller crimping was kind of effective for reducing the wheat pressure in event 2 in terms of the broadleaf type of wheats. But that was not true in the grass type. So again, we try to look at different types of wheat, but from our field, we saw only 2 types, broadleaf and grass. We did not see any sales type of wheat. So that's how we are including wheat into 2 categories only. And wheat pressure was high in the event 2. But again, roller crimping, somehow it was effective for reducing the wheat pressure broadleaf type in event 2. And then some other parameters, for example, plant height. If you look at plant height, that has an interaction with cover crop method, and then row-to-row spacing. If you look at the individual value, for example, row-to-row spacing, they have a significant main effect, but since it was driven by the interaction effect, if you check the CBD and THC also, you can see that roller crimping has a low CBD, THC. CBD was high with incorporation, but again, just the termination method, it may or may not drive directly to the changes in the CBD concentration. Let's go with a further slide where we are talking about another year results, that results from 2023. So in more or less both here, we saw very similar results of roller crimping, that weed pressure in terms of the broadleaf was reduced in event 2 compared to the event 1. And here, especially from the 2022, that higher weed pressure at the second measuring date, that is event 2, and roller cream cover crops reduced broadleaf weed pressure, especially with a 1.5 meter row to row spacing that corresponds to the 60 inches, and plant to plant spacing with a 0.75 meter or 30 inches. As you can see here that this is the A2 represents the roller cream with the B2 stands for the 60 inch or 1.5 meter. So this is where you can see the broadleaf weed density lowest level. And this one grass weed density, which was not effective with a roller creeper. And in 2023, we did not see any significant effect of flower crop termination on weed pressure. And back to the CBD and THC relation, that likewise in the nitrogen trial that I was presenting earlier, we try to see how the CBD and THC are related to each other. As you can see here, the CBD concentration, they are ranging from 2 to 8% on x-axis in the left side, and then on the right side, 5 to 12% in 2023. And on y-axis, you can see the THC concentration, which is ranging from 0.12 to the 0.35 at maximum, though we don't have any value from 0.35, but I'm just telling that y-axis, you can see the THC concentration, and x-axis with the CBD concentration. And we observed that there is a positive linear relationship between the CBD and THC. That meaning you can expect having higher CBD, there is a chances of higher THC as well. And that can depend upon your management practices, and then also sometimes it can depend with your genetic material or the sources of the seed, what you are using in your production. So let's conclude the results here that we found that roller cream at the 0.75 meter row spacing and 6.61 meter plant spacing that produced the highest biomass yield. So roller crimping was effective for producing high biomass yield, but our interest for CBD production can go with the CBD yield, which we saw with the incorporation or dig scheme. So in the dig scheme way of roller cover crop termination, we saw highest CBD yield. And we also observed a positive relationship between CBD and THC concentration. And we'd like to conclude that roller crimping cover crops reduce the broadleaf weed pressure, especially in the event 2. Based on our results, what we can give the future direction for our trial, and then also we have some ongoing other research at Rodale Institute that I think we should focus more with varietal testing, also with more different soil types and then more climate regions. And we should not forget about the farm economy or how the enterprise cost of the production versus the cost of output. And then weed species dynamics, because some results that we were observing that roller crimping was effective in broadleaf type weed suppression, then we need to definitely look at weed specific dynamics, and it may have some associated advantage or link with the soil health and microbial activities. And we need to develop a clear methodology to improve the weed management using roller crimper. Those are some of the research direction that we observed, or we thought like these are the valid points to moving forward. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation, but our results, you can also check on our Rodale Institute website. It's available on the research article section. And also some of our studies are available on our Pocono Organic website also. So Pocono Organics is one of the hosting site of Rodale Institute in Pennsylvania. It's located in Mount Pocono or in Long Pond, Pocono. You can find those useful information on their website also. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation, and then I would like to acknowledge our funding agency, the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Specific Crop Block Grant, Pocono Organics, and then we are here at the Rodale Institute. Also, I would like to mention all the individuals who are directly or indirectly associated with these projects. Now, I would like to conclude my presentation, and then I will take your questions or comment that you have. I'm looking at the comment section here right now. So that one comment, way to go, what greatness is amazing. Have you ever agroforestry? Could an arrangement suitable for CBD consider a richer soil? Would the management difficulties be minor? And this was by Penny from the University Federal of Alagoas, North Brazil. So have you ever heard of agroforestry? Definitely, yes. Would an arrangement suitable for CBD consider a richer soil? Yes. And then it is still suitable in the richer soil, but one thing is hemp, also known as wheat, so it can go whatever the types of soil. So growing wise, it is not a problem. And then when we have a richer soil, definitely that is a more advantage. And then second question is, what was your greatest challenge during the field trial and how you overcome that? Yes, I really love this question, and then it was amazing thing. One thing is that challenge is regulation. Definitely, you need to follow state and then the federal regulation, and then it goes with the background, so everything. So that is one thing. And I was also mentioning in our research that it was not desired, but somehow we changed the variety from year one to year two, and then we had to back and forth contact the suppliers, and then they try to match the best similar varieties, and that somehow it kept a consistency in our observation. So that was another challenge. And even if you are from the non-organic grow background or your experience, you may still have some challenge with the weed management because so far there is no declared or there is no known herbicide for the hemp. So farmers are using herbicide considering the knowledge from the other crops. So herbicide is also another challenge. Or let's say that weed management is a challenge. And then another thing is market. Market in the past 10 years versus market right now, the CBD market is really narrowed down. And then sometimes the harvest methodology and then producing that dried floral material, it is kind of challenging part. So so you have a good product, you have a good harvest, you follow everything correct. But again, the market is volatile. That can be challenged. And then obviously there is no crop insurance yet. And another things that I observed is that let's say that when you were doing sample test before main harvest, if your CBD has a high THC that is more than 0.3% of the threshold level, then you cannot harvest your crop. You have to uh, uh, dump it in the presence of the state official. So that is kind of a painful thing for the farmer. So it is really challenging. I have seen some farmers near to our field that are high fertilizer. I mean, also they use some hormones, and at the end they observe the high THC level, and then they were not allowed to harvest. That's a problem. So, and then more things, if you are facing, and then I'm happy to answer also. So I'll provide my email ID in the chat box. So we can contact each other after our webinar also. And let me read other comment if I have. I think I have. Let me write my. So that you can. Is another cannabis CBD TSC. So I didn't dig far into the CBD, but it is another cannabinoid profile. So, and most of the time we talk about the CBD and TSC. Next question is: are there any plans to look into CBD chemo over performance? Right now, we are not exploring research interest in the CBD, but definitely we'll keep this question as our future research direction. Yeah, thank you very much. Let me know if you have any more answer. Okay. Thank you everyone who were able to join the webinar today. If you have any further question, please reach out to my email ID. That is my first name, DINESS, PANDAY. So I would like to conclude our today's presentation. Let's connect each other, and then if you have any more questions, please. Thank you again, and have a great time there. Bye-bye.